ready to go, Mark. Good evening, we'll go ahead and start. The first item on the agenda is consider approving the minutes from the meeting held on April 22nd.
I make a motion we do that.
Motion made, do you have a second?
Second motion.
Second, all in favor? Good. Next item is talking to Mr. Jeff Hall from Public Works to discuss Oakland road conditions. I guess we'll start with the manager first, and then he can tell us what he wants, and then Jeff can tell us.
I was requested to have Jeff come down so that he could explain what the projects are that he's working on and the scope of the work that needs to be completed. Also, if there's the general overall condition of the roads, is that pretty much what I understood?
Basically, it's been a tough winter as far as frost and other things, and I just was wondering how he and his crew have found the roads after the winter, and does that cause any additional stress on his department and things we need to know about?
Jeff, you're up.
Not really, they all come back. I thought you wanted to know something about Lake Vista Drive. That there. And I think you talked about turning into gravel or something just because of trying to sell lots or, you know, make it more appealing or something.
Just the opposite.
Oh, okay.
And I really hadn't intended to discuss that tonight.
Oh, okay,
But I
yeah.
just wanted to bring it to your attention to see what types of things could be done, but it wasn't necessary for
Yeah,
a
okay.
council discussion.
Yeah, all
And I
right.
guess part of the question was then, with our projects going forward, you know, is everything on schedule? Do you see any hiccups in the plan? The budget was passed, so you've got the funding to do it, and maybe you can just give us an overview of
Okay.
when and where and how. I know Hussey Hill always comes up as a,
Yeah, yeah, we plan on going to Hussey Hill there this year. And hopefully we can do, we're hoping 3,000 feet up there with the monies that we have. And as far as the roads, they all come back pretty much, I think, you know. Didn't think so there for a while. They are gonna work on the pond road this year, DOT is. It's, I think they call it a PM wrap or something like that. It's, they take grindings and mix it with liquid, and they're gonna throw 3-4 inches on it all the way down through, and then pave it. Same thing they did in front of Dana's house there, probably 4 or 5 years ago. So, that there. Our paving projects that we're gonna be doing is Shim and Oak Street, and overlaying Sawtell Road, and finishing Railroad Ave, what little bit we had there left over. Overlaying Maple Street. And I don't know. Hussey Hill Road is we're just gonna go up there and reclaim it, ditch it, replace culverts, grade and pave. I've had one paving outfit come already this week on getting estimates for our paving this year. And he says we should be around what we estimated was $85 a ton. So he says this looking good there, so.
What did you pay last year, Jeff? You remember?
We paid, I think, $83.50,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so,
Not too much different than.
no,
is there a chance that paving materials will decline? Obviously, we had a major uptick in the cost several years ago when the oil prices kept climbing, and the whole rationale was that, you know, there's a lot of oil in the blacktop, and as with other things, the price of oil goes down, but it doesn't necessarily mean the byproducts. Is there any hope that?
that's how they make pavement, is a byproduct of gasoline and diesel fuel. Gary and I went to our class, and diesel fuel is a byproduct of gasoline. Number 2, heating oil is a byproduct of diesel, and it just goes down through the line. And the liquid price for pavement is still high because there's demand for it. It's the only thing that you can really use, and they're trying to make pavement better nowadays they got polymers and stuff that they're adding into it. Because pavement isn't like it used to be. But, yeah, we went to a class and learned a little bit about that. They actually going back to a lot of the old school, what was it? Putting the liquid down and putting like crushed stone on it, the little,
Crusher dust.
yeah, the crushed dust, and doing that, sealing up roads after you've shimmed them and got them there to seal them up. They're trying it, they're experimenting on it, DOT is.
We got a letter from DOT for the Sydney job saying that you're using, was it AD paving or
State paving,
was it state paving?
Yeah.
Was that the name?
yeah, that's who
Same
we had,
company we use.
yeah, that's who we used last year. They do a good job.
So that's one of the ones that did on our work too then.
Yep.
All state paved asphalt incorporated.
Is that what it was?
And when,
So what will they be paving?
We've had them before too.
What will they be paving?
It's gonna be the pond road.
The whole pond road from?
Yeah, they're going the whole length with that, PM wrap or whatever they're doing. Yeah.
There'll be about 4 inches of material on that, isn't there?
They said 3 to 4 inches of that crush, their recycled asphalt, and then they're gonna pave it. I don't know how many inches they're gonna put on pavement. I'm assuming 3, but I don't know that.
Have they done much work down there on culverts and things like that?
They've started, yeah,
They haven't
down in
done it
Sydney.
for ages, it's been so rough.
On the city side, they're starting, they just started doing culverts on that end, so.
so
I don't
what
know if
roads, what roads are we doing this year?
We're doing, we're shimming Oak Street,
Yep.
and we're gonna pave, Sawtell Road, which is an overlay,
Mm-hmm.
and finish Railroad Ave and Maple Street.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna start construction on Huzzy Hill.
Right. And then we'll be, hopefully if we can get 3,000 feet done on that, then that will have new pavement on that, a base anyways.
So you're starting right at Oak Street and going 3,000?
Yes,
How
yeah.
far will that take you to the corner or?
It takes you about where that corner is. Yeah, I'm gonna work with Boyd on what to do because the ditches are so deep there.
Yeah,
You know, you gotta start out someplace somehow and you stand in it and you just barely see the shoulder. So you're talking 5 feet deep there.
yeah.
It's just,
Deep ditches there.
yeah,
Pulled the school bus out of there once, remember that?
We did.
and there's no shoulder.
Yeah.
There,
On the
so-
edge, down he went.
It's gonna be a good project to do. It needs it.
How'd you make out on sand this year?
Good. We got probably, I'm gonna say probably 3,000 yards left over. So that's good.
Well, you did a good job, we thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. And the guys held up fine?
Yep. Yeah.
And he might make it with his budget. Just like everyone else.
Yeah, it's gonna be close. We'll make it.
Good. Thank you.
Jeff, did you tell us once that the sand that you sweep up off the streets in the spring is not usable to?
Yes, we've tried to use it before, because our screen, when we screen you out, it's a 3/8 square,
Yeah,
and you got so much paper and pencils, and you name it, it's in it.
right.
And it just plugs it up, it just won't go through. So we kept trying and trying.
I
and
thought you told us once that it didn't work.
Yeah, so then we just left that by itself and loaded it on the truck and took it out. It was just like powder kind of, it just didn't have nothing to it,
Yeah.
you know, so. It's just too bad we couldn't find a way to recycle it, really.
Yeah.
Good, thank you. Further questions? And thank you for coming in tonight, appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Next item up is to review and discuss the first reading of Oakland Town ordinance.
This is what the ordinance that you have in front of you is what I came up with, and we've had it posted. I've had no calls or comments on this.
I have a comment on paragraph 2.
Yes.
right where it says the owner or keeper of such, I think it says the owner or keeper of such annoyance, I think it should say the owner or keeper of the dog that the annoyance or disturbance must cease, the owner of the dog.
Are you talking, barking
Par-
dogs?
Paragraph 2,
On barking dogs or controlled?
barking dogs, excuse me.
Okay, this is our existing
Yeah.
ordinance.
But
Yep,
I think that one should be, that's worded funny, I think, when it says you shall give written notice to the owner or keeper of such annoyance or disturbance.
and you, yeah, go with barking
You
dogs.
try to read that, it reads funny.
Right, and I left that alone because that's what we currently had.
Yeah, I think we ought to make a correction
I
for it,
can-
maybe
I can
while we're doing
certainly-
this.
Certainly.
But
take
I
that.
think the rest of it looked fine to me.
Any other comments?
Yes, Jim.
What area is this gonna cover? Is it gonna
This-
go in the outskirts of Oakland or just within like the town,
No, this is gonna be for the entire town.
entire town?
Yeah, this is for the entire town.
Have to keep a sharp eye out in my area when I'm walking.
We gotta catch them, John.
Yeah.
John, you want a copy?
I think,
I'll have
Peter
to
needs a
follow
copy of
somebody
that
walking
too.
around. I know who they all are, it's got the dogs.
Okay, I'll make that correction on, the barking dogs.
And I don't know if we need to make a word correction in a existing ordinance, we don't need anything special to do that, do we?
It can be part of this read anyway. I have to post it again for a second read.
Yeah.
I'll have to be the one that's a clean read.
That's an easy fix.
I got a question.
Certainly.
If somebody makes a complaint, they say their neighbor's dog poo on the ground, they make a complaint to the police department, would they be subpoenaed to testify?
Well, it's a civil
district
case.
court, or-
The police officer, if he's gonna be charged by the police department, they are certainly going to request a written statement from the complainant. So if somebody had eyes on it, they're gonna ask for that statement. And if it goes to court, then they're gonna request that person to testify in court, because if they don't, then all they got's hearsay, even though it's a written statement. They're gonna have to have the body there, the person there, they won't do that. So yes, they will be required to go to court.
Okay.
Just
Yes,
sort
sir.
of a follow-up. So, if a person files a complaint, what will happen?
If a person files a complaint with the police department, the police officer that will take the complaint, obviously, and ask them what they saw. If the person saw, one of the neighbors take the dog and actually go to the bathroom on the ground and not clean it up, then, that statement will be taken. The police officer will go and interview the person who owns the dog. They're either gonna admit or deny, and if they admit, then they'll get a civil summons, and I think the first offense is $50. They'll have a choice to, go to court, or they can pay the $50 to the town office to avoid the court proceedings. Second, and any subsequent offense after that would be a $100 fine. So they won't necessarily have to go to court if they choose to pay the fine. And if they do go to court, then the way I have this ordinance written is that the proceeds from the court hearing will go directly back to the town of Oakland.
So if somebody complains, files a written complaint, and the person denies it,
Then it will be up to a court proceeding.
so it will go to court.
It will go to court at that point.
And do we have to have a lawyer take that to court?
No, we have Chief Tracy, who's trained in civil cases as far as ordinance. I'm probably gonna have to get him briefed back up on it again, but he would represent the town. We wouldn't be paying a lawyer to do this.
How likely, or I guess as we think through it, how often do we think, as with Mr. Cox following his dog walkers in the community, he files 5 of these because he sees 5 different dogs. My guess is they'll all deny it,
I'm certainly,
so you'll be going to court on all of these cases.
my experience is that people don't like to go to court. And if they've been caught and somebody's willing to testify against them, there's a higher chance that they'll take care of it than actually go through the court proceedings, because it's an inconvenience. I mean, one thing, they have to get the time off of work to do that, and then you go through the embarrassment factor. I mean, so it tends not to happen that often. Although, if somebody truly disagrees with a complaint, I mean, I've always advised everybody to go to court if they totally disagree with it, because if they're not guilty, they're not gonna be found guilty, for the most part.
If you pled guilty, would you get your name in the district court news?
Probably not for a civil case.
Okay.
It'd be much on the lines as a speeding ticket. You won't be reading about your name in the paper on a speeding ticket.
If the police officer does it right, he can get him to go pick up the poo and it's all said and done and moving on. Stop wasting people's time.
And you're right. I mean, there's officer discretion involved in this too. Even though we have this ordinance that says that we can write a ticket civilly, I mean, if the officer feels as though the person's taking care of it and it's probably not gonna happen again, then they don't have to write the ticket. That's up to the officer.
So the real intent of this, I guess, is in the middle of that second paragraph, where it says the provisions of this ordinance may be enforced.
Exactly.
So
May is the key
there-
word.
And I guess that's what I would
Call officer
think
discretion.
that we would probably wanna have happen.
And that's the reason why I wrote it that
You
way.
get a warning or whatever, and,
Yeah.
okay.
If the officer does it right and goes up, said, can you help me? We have an ordinance in town. Someone witnessed your dog defecating on the side. Could you pick it up? Great. Problem solved. We're moving on.
About the only way you're gonna end up getting anywhere with it if somebody actually witnessed something. I mean, it's a very hard ordinance to enforce. They have difficulties everywhere with this ordinance to
No,
enforce.
it just makes sense to have that where.
Yeah, exactly.
You give a
Right.
warning, you say, you know, your neighbor, because we already know there are some people who will probably be waiting for that person to go by with their dog and call us immediately.
The goal of everybody should be to try to obtain voluntary compliance.
I agree.
And I think that's the standard operating procedure of our police department, like in the situation we had with the noisy lumber operator out in the raw pond. I don't know how many times, I think you told us that
I went
the
up and
officer
visited.
worked there and tried to work with the guy to prevent any further problems.
Any further questions on the dog ordinance? If there are none, we're moving on.
Do
we
we
have a
need to make a
motion?
motion that we
Yeah.
accept this as the first reading of our
We did, but we're moving
dog
on.
defecation?
Do you have a motion?
Move, first reading.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Moving on. Next is the manager's report.
You've got a monthly library report, and nothing real special. She had a typical month. I did get a chance to go up and visit without them aware of it, and I witnessed Sarah and Jean interacting with a bunch of young children down in the reading room, and I can tell you right now, it's quite an impressive operation with all those people in it. And I was real happy to see that. But they're doing a good job up there. Next thing I have on my report is to advise that the first building committee meeting is scheduled for next Tuesday, 5/19 at 4 o'clock at the firehouse. And first committee meeting will be at that point. If anybody would like to show up and be part of that, you're more than welcome to. I've got a couple of other items that I didn't get included into this, but I'm gonna add them on. First is Chief David Coughlin just graduated on Friday from the Fire Officer 3 and 4 class. They held it in Maine for the first time. This has always been an out-of-state class, and this has given him 6 college credits. It was an extremely intense course where they had 80 hours of class time and another 40 to 60 hours of time after class to do reports, and one of the reports were actually 100 pages. And it was extremely intense, and he said it was probably one of the harder courses that was for a 2-week course that he's been through. And I did go to the graduation on that, and it was pretty impressive. Dave Groder graduated, Chief Coughlin, and Ryan Johnson graduated from that class. And that was paid for by a grant that he had applied for. So that was kind of nice. The next thing on the agenda is we are going to be looking at a sewer increase this year. And we haven't got our budget completely finalized, and there's still some moving parts in that. but we do have enough done to know that we're gonna be looking at a sewer rate increase of, well, if we go 31.5%, that means that we're gonna cover costs this year. And we have been, I've given you a series of charts, and 2012, since we put this new system online, we had an approximate balance in our fund reserve of $460,000. 2013, we utilized $111,000 of that fund reserve to help the operation sustain itself, which brought us down to a balance of about $349,000. 2014, we utilized $169,000 out of that to keep things running, and it brought us down to $180,000 plus or minus. And then this year, we're down to about $70,000 to $75,000, and it cost us $110,000 to keep our sewer department running. So we've been utilizing cash out of a fund reserve to supplement the cost of operation for our sewer department. There's several things that have taken place here to create this, from what I can see. I got these charts 2 days ago, so this is relatively new to me. And Doug did a good job putting this paperwork together. Boyd has been involved in this extensively, obviously. And we have, not only has our cost of operation increased substantially, because now we don't treat our own sewage, we end up paying somebody else to treat it, but our user, the consumption of our system has dropped tremendously. And we've had a high of 2000 of about 68,500 cubic units. A cubic unit equates to 748 gallons of water, down to a low of this year of about 56,000 cubic units, which is a reduction of 12,500 cubic units. Had we not had that reduction, we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in. It would have covered costs. But unfortunately, we don't know if it's because of demographics. I mean, you have families who have children at home, and as those children grow older and move out of the house, obviously consumption's gonna go down. This is certainly confined to the user group, which is centrally located in town. So, you know, that could be part of the problem, or it could be part of the problem that just people are becoming more conscious of their use. 2012, we saw a little bit of a bump up. That was 58,500, and then when the new system came down, you saw another dramatic decrease, 2 steps that brought it down. If you look at the next page on this chart, you'll see a cost of operation versus the user fees. And you can see 2012, that dramatic spike where a new system went online, so that's where your cost of operation spiked up. You had another increase to 2013 and 14, and then it slightly came down a little bit in 2014 and 15. It also shows your user fees dropping ever so slightly. So, now we have to make up the gap. And we're kind of at critical mass right now. We've got about $70,000 in our reserve fund. We don't have enough money in that fund to continue to support this operation, so we have to make some hard choices. And talking with Doug this morning or this afternoon, and we're talking about this increase, Doug personally would like to see a 35% increase. And what that equates to is if your sewage bill is approximately $62.28 for your quarter, your new bill is going to be $86.25. So you're going to be looking at, you know, 20 some odd
What
dollars.
was that second figure?
$86.25,
26.25.
which is about $8 a month, somewhere in that range. If your current bill is $79.44, which there's some of them out there with a couple of kids in their home, that's that much. Your new bill per quarter is going to be $107.75. And if you're somebody who's got a $100 bill per quarter, Your new bill's gonna be $134. And the way it's looking, every percent increase that we bring up our user rates is going to equate to $4,000. And our goal is to attempt to bring our reserve fund back up. This will save us in case we have a major malfunction. We need to have some money in the bank. Again, 31.5, no money in the, no money going into the reserve, covers operation. 35% will give us between $13,000 and $14,000 to add to the reserve annually. Our budget right now, as far as it looks, is gonna go down between 3 and 4%. Again, it's not completed. You're working on some heaters, correct? To look at the cost of transferring the heaters from electrically run to gas. That's gonna save us a couple $1,000s a year. And so a small investment for that's gonna save us a couple $1,000. So when we get these loose pieces into the budget, a budget, right now, we've talked about over the winter about the I&I. I mean, we've got a lot of clean water in this whole system that we're paying upwards of $107,000 annually for water bill to treat. And so we need to be making some movement to cure this, and that's what the goal is. And last year, we had $35,000 in that account, the upgrade account, and I have suggested to bring it up to $55,000. That gives them an extra $20,000 so we can start making some movement to correct this. It takes money to make money, and if we don't start improving the system, then we're not gonna get ahead on this, and we're gonna be blessed with this increase forever. That's not the goal. We need to start fixing things. And Boyd has been diligently putting numbers on things and working towards that. He's even come to the point where he has been able to put a figure on 1 inch of rain. Mother Nature holds a lot of this. 1 inch of rain equates to $2,000 increase for our users. And so if we have a rainy spring, a rainy summer, it's gonna make our cost of operation go up. And that might have something to do with the reason why 2014 showed $169,000 usage out of a reserve fund. So that's where we're at. And as tough as this is, as much as this has made all of us sick, because we spent about 2.5 hours yesterday trying to figure this all out, we don't have a lot of choices here. We have to go and make this thing pay for itself, and the only way we're gonna do it is we're gonna have to go and increase our sewer rates.